As of today, War Chugger has 10 different nation trees. I say nation trees because there are more than 10 actual nations represented in War Suffer. Each nation actually has their own quirks and niches that they fill even if a portion of their vehicles are copy-pastes. Gaijin boasts about 2,000 playable vehicles across these nations. Despite this, I can still see some players that have only exclusively played one nation to its fullest and are sometimes suffering for it. Sure, I can understand that there are players just starting out or really don't want to branch out because it takes a significant time investment to get to the top of each nation. I can understand since it took me about 3 weeks to go from the Israeli Mark 9 Spitfire to the Kfir C7. Having grinded out every air tree and 8 out of 10 tank trees to tier 7, I think I can form an opinion as to what each nation brings to the table and why having at least 2 or 3 nations fleshed out can be beneficial to your War Thunder experience. Back when props dominated the War Dunker matchmaker, there were distinct differences between props of each nation which gave birth to different dogfighting techniques such as boom and zoom, energy fighting, and turn fighting. It was solid advice to get to tier 3 with each nation to get a good grip on what their aircraft could do. But now, in the age of jets and missiles, entering service 30 years after World War II, the line has been a bit muddled. Germany is reaping the rewards of double dipping, enjoying the air superiority that the MiG-23 MLA can offer while taking advantage of the superior strike capability of its NATO counterparts. China's top tier consisted of a MiG-21 on steroids and the F-5, and Japan will probably be America 2, until at least a Mitsubishi F2, in which case it will be America 2 on steroids. So in terms of top tier aircraft, you can theoretically get a grasp of how other nations will play by perhaps playing USSR or America. So the question is, aside from playing USSR and America, what is the incentive of playing other nations now? Well, other than of course getting an explicit understanding of how adversary aircraft work and how they can be countered, having another nation can also alleviate burnout with the game. When I get exhausted grinding out one nation, I just hop into another nation and just have fun playing their vehicles. My favorite vehicle to take out is the LA-5FN or the Arietes. The Arietes are so fun to play, and the LA-5FN is just mindless to play at its BR that they're the perfect anti-burnout vehicles. This also goes into War Clunker's boredom aspect. Playing one nation can get excessively boring as demonstrated when I grinded out the ZTZ-99A and its modules. At the end, it got so repetitive and boring it made me hop into the Mirage F1C and MiG-21 SMT to grind out the F1CT and Su-17M4. Here, take this Type 10 gameplay as an example. I'm not particularly grinding anything new at the moment, so I just defaulted to playing one of the most fun top tier tanks I know. Another reason is that War Thunder's updates at the first half of the year are few and far between. We get 2 in the first half, and 3 in the latter half, and each update has at least something new for each nation. Even if they're just a neat World War II vehicle or an SPAA, there's always something new. So if I only focus on one nation, I could reliably get whatever new stuff they have in less than a week. If you guys want me to do a tutorial on how to grind out each tree, or my recommendations, I'd be happy to do it, so if you guys want to see that, do tell me in the comments below. The primary reason people don't grind out new trees is because an entirely new tree is a time sink for them. Having reached top tier in their tree possibly means they've sunk very considerable time into getting there. Some play War Thunder casually and slowly, while they're rising through the trees at their own pace, and by the time they get there, they've sunk around 200-400 hours, which is of course no minimum amount of time into the game, and trying to get to top tier in a new tree they're not familiar with becomes a monumental task. You're not familiar, you're not used to it, and it's a giant time sink as well. I've been playing since 2015 and I've only gotten to tier 6 Sweden and tier 5 Israel. Don't even ask me about my naval grind, that's basically nothing. So I can also see why people are a bit reluctant to start grinding out new trees. I'm here to tell you, take your time grinding out a new tree. If you can get a premium, go for it, but always remember to try out the vehicles along the way because Each tree holds a really nice planar tank that can be heaps of fun to play with when you're not grinding. For example, you can have the Swedish wedges, the SCRV 103s for Sweden. Italy has their Passicars at 6.7, very fun lineup. And Japan is basically a top tier beast. It's fun to play, it's fun to enjoy, and they've got really nice mid tier aircraft. The Zeros, fun to play. KI 61 if you want a challenge. So every nation really has something for you, and I think you're gonna enjoy trying out a new nation. If you want to get a hang of everything, I would recommend China. China has a bit of everything in its tree, so you can learn everything from the concepts of basic dogfighting, kinds of dogfighting, and basically concepts of tanks. It would be easy to grind it out with China. I think another tree that can do this is also Israel a bit, because it has a mix of some USSR tanks like the Tiran 4 and some US tanks like the Magax. So you wouldn't be really missing out on many of the aspects of tank gameplay if you play Israel or China. But of course, it's up to you which you want to play and which tree appeals to you because you want to play that vehicle. So yeah, this is the Dr. MD. Cheers guys, and Godspeed.